Another episode of the Marshall Street podcast.
Yes.
Here with Crystal Cartier. How you doing?
How's it going?
Yeah,
That's
very
good.
well. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
No, it is an absolute pleasure.
I'm really excited.
Now, you've had a big weekend playing in Sydney. Do you want to talk us through that before we get into it?
Yeah, I just got back from playing a few gigs in Sydney. Played at the Ivy on Friday and the Spot on Saturday, and everything went really, really well. I was really
Sick.
happy with it.
The Ivy's fucking dope.
Yeah.
I've been there a few times. Me and Raya have been out there.
It's actually huge. It's
Yeah.
like pretty big, a lot bigger than it looks in the photos.
Yeah, even that whole area like around the water there is just fucking sick.
Yeah, beautiful.
Think
A
there's
lot of their
something-
clubs are around the harbour and stuff.
There's something about when you walk into a place and you're like, I did not expect it to look like this.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
get a little bit of like those nerves that I'm like, let's go. Push through always.
Always. Now, for those who may not know you, do you want to give us a quick rundown on kind of you, what you're doing in the scene, everything like that?
Yeah, I'm just an R&B hip-hop DJ from Melbourne. Just started producing as well, so I can add that to the resume.
Nice.
And
Awesome.
yeah, I gig every single weekend and love what I do.
Play a fucking hell of a lot of shows. And so, and you linked up with Junior and the Real Guys.
Yeah, I'm a part of the Real Music roster.
Yep.
Come through here a lot now.
Yep.
Really enjoy that.
Awesome.
Yeah, they're dope guys. Love what they do.
How did you meet them?
Just through DJing and stuff like that. I played a back-to-back set with Junior, and then, I was DJing for some rappers at the start as well. And then, yeah, we linked up through that.
Yeah, sick.
Awesome. And when did you start out? I feel like kind of give us a run through the journey of starting out in DJing clubs, and then also as a female coming up through it, because it is like the industry is or has notoriously been dominated heavily by males. So it's awesome to see a female come up through the ranks. And I remember the first time when I saw you, it was at the Real Christmas party just this
the
year.
end of last year,
Yeah, and I was like, damn, like, she's fucking sick. Like, really puts the fucking
Thanks so
dudes to
much.
shame, man. Keeps people in their place.
Well, a lot of people don't know that I actually started DJing in high school. And I started when I was about 14 or 15. And then I was just doing like house parties at that point and like figuring out what the fuck's going on. Like, I think I was using virtual DJ.
Yeah, right.
And then
yeah.
taking my dad's like bass amp and then putting in the RCAs and playing through that. Like, pretty
Sick.
much.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We
and-
always find a way when we're
Yeah.
young, like to make do with what we got.
Yeah,
Yep.
I used to DJ for like 8 hours and charge them like $50 all night and be like, yep, I'm set.
Yeah, bad.
This is put in the
Most
hours
people didn't
there.
even charge them. They're like, fuck, you're going to let me annoy you with music?
It was dope for like 16s and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then actual DJing in clubs, I only started maybe in like 2016. So it's been like 3-4 years now.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So it's fucking
Awesome.
cool when you're young and you've got that something that other people don't have and you can be like, yeah.
Yeah, I feel-
like, I got this. And then people just like flock to you and shit. Sick.
Yeah, I feel so blessed to be able to do what I do. Like,
Yeah.
I actually feel like I'm at a point in life where I get so much fulfillment from DJing and like fuck a 9 to 5 and that whole lifestyle, you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. So walk us through because you've supported some big artists as well. What are the what's kind of some of the some of your favorite shows or ones you've been like, fuck, this is sick, like playing with this person or playing at this venue?
I think the biggest gig I've done so far is supporting Jacquees in April last year at Festival Hall,
Dope.
Yeah,
which
nice.
is probably like even more exciting for me, like being in Melbourne and stuff like that. And they're going.
Yep.
I don't know whether they've already shut it down or they're shutting it down.
Yeah, right.
Because
They
they're going
got
to build.
cancelled. I believe it's staying open.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Someone
okay.
bought it out or something.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yep,
That
that's
is-
what I heard because I was keen and everyone's going to do this now, but this was my plan. So when they were knocking it down, basically I was
You're
going
gonna
to
just
go...
like chain yourself to the front.
No,
like,
no, let them fucking...
Don't
They were
lose.
going to knock it, but they just throw out all the shit. So like once they're demolishing it, just go and take some of the fucking either like the seats or the furniture or the stage and shit. They did that at the MCC when they redid all the MCC rooms. Basically they like they just throw out all the shit. And all
just
the
go-
carpet with the MCC logos. Dudes went and took it all, like, cut the carpet up, framed, like, the logo, and sold it for $1 million. It's like, if I could get a square
Yep.
of the festival hall floor, like, the Beatles have played on that. Like,
Yeah.
some big fucking bands.
Yep.
Yeah,
But that
it's
was
a
my plan.
Dope venue, like.
Yeah. But no, it's staying open. I believe it got fucking like the
you go.
apartments got canned. Yeah, it got some funding or
Really
something
happy to hear
happened.
that.
Yeah.
I was stressing for a bit. This morning I remembered and I was like, wow, I wonder if that's closed already or like what's
Nah,
going
yeah.
on.
Last, I mean, I could be wrong, but last I heard it's that wasn't going ahead.
Perfect.
It's definitely a Melbourne institution.
Oh yeah.
Like if you've gone to a gig at Festival Hall, which most people have, it's like, this is sick.
Yeah, it's.
Even
I mean,
though
it
the
sounds
sound's
like
not,
shit.
Yeah, the sound's not great. Everything's
They
fucking
need to
reflective,
upkeep it
but
though, because it has some. It's had monster acts through it.
just a big square block, really.
Yeah.
That's
It's
why the
pretty
sound
intimate
sucks.
because I don't think there's like a lot of space between the stage and the actual barrier, like
Yeah.
in comparison to other venues
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
So you just like sweat it out and like,
Yeah, yeah.
get really up in there, I guess.
So talk us through kind of why you were drawn to music and kind of what made you fulfill or pursue it as like a full-time thing.
I guess when I look back, it was kind of like really prominent throughout my life. Like even as a kid, I remember on like weekends and stuff like that, or even, weekends with Rage and like all those different shows, I'd wake up really, really early in the morning and sit there just like writing down all the songs that I really liked.
Yep.
And like I was doing that at like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Which I feel like now when I look back is like pretty young to do.
Yeah,
That's a
big
really
time.
weird hobby to have. But that's how I pretty much started with that.
Yeah.
And then I'd chuck it on a little USB MP3 player that I
Yeah.
had.
No shit.
And, yeah, it evolved from that into I started playing the guitar and bass and then like
Yeah.
learning how to, go through that whole like learning an instrument and stuff like that. And then turned into DJing. And I guess like now it's producing
Yep.
and it's just finding new ways to like fall in love with it all over again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I never really thought about it like that in terms of finding a new way to fall in love with it. Because even we've spoken, because I used to DJ for some hip hop groups as well and produce.
Sure.
But then I stopped playing like a few years ago, and then now just gone to the back end of the industry. But for me, that's been a similar journey. Where I'm like, fuck, you find this new aspect that you like and that fucking draws you and captivates you. And like for me, I just wanted to be around artists. Like they're just in terms of working, like who am I around fucking 9 to 5 or during the day? I just wanted to be around creatives and around fucking musicians. So like, it's kind of weird looking back. I was always trying to find a way just to be around fucking people while they were doing things.
Yeah.
And for me, that was DJing. Because I was like, fuck, I learned I couldn't sing early. My guitar skills were fucking less than ideal, I'd say.
Yep.
So I was like, hey, I could DJ.
It's when you experience those like full circle moments of thinking like, oh, one day I can't wait until I do that. And then you're
Yeah.
actually doing it and you're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh, remember like.
I have this vivid memory of us in my first band. We used to rehearse at my mum's an out of school hours coordinator. So she had the room always like, she'd just be like, yeah, come in on weekends. We brought this little fucking mic amp, and my brother had this shitty mic, which I've still got. I use it here sometimes. And we just plug that into this 50-watt amp and just crank it. And I have this vivid memory of us always being like, man, the band life, it really takes it out of you, touring this, that. We weren't touring. Like, we were playing in a fucking room at a primary school. But then, later you look back on it and you're like, I'm actually touring. This is sick.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Totally.
That's dope.
And another thing that you said, like watching Rage, my dad always had his like vinyl connected to the home stereo type thing, and he had a cassette player as well, and the cassette player ran through the fucking VCR, so the VCR was connected to the tape player, so me and my brother would make mixtapes based off Rage. So when we'd listen back to it on our little
It's
fucking
like-
Sony Walkmans, it would be like you'd have the video clip version of the song, which included like dialogue and shit sometimes, and I'd be listening to it. I'd know the dialogue of the actual video clip and shit. Like, it's crazy.
No shit.
Wait,
Yeah.
so would the recorder like take cassettes or is that?
Yeah. You'd have the cassette player
What
and
a
hit
vibe.
record.
Yeah, bad.
Used to listen to our little
Your parents
Sony
had it
Walkmans. I had
hooked
a
up,
fucking
man.
tape, like a drawer full of just cassettes, and I would make mixtapes for my friends, like, because none of them cared enough to do that. And I was always like so fucking pumped about the music, so I was like always making those mixtapes for the friends and shit.
I didn't start till CDs were in. It was kind of 2000, the first CD I made, Ben's Mix Volume 1. I think it's upstairs somewhere.
Yeah, I've
gonna
got
whip it out.
Stubbs' mixes.
Intermission and we're just like,
I'll show you all of mine. They're all upstairs as well. They're fucking dope.
But there
That'll be
was-
one for your car.
Oh yeah, that's a
Yeah.
classic. But there is something about like making that fucking mixtape or a fucking comp CD and like actually thinking it out and going through that journey like, fuck, I'm going to open with this track, then this one's going to come in, then it's going to bring it down a bit.
You feel your way through it and like,
Yeah.
you just got to go here.
Is that sort of like, how do you plan your sets, or will you kind of just throw down depending on the room and what the fucking vibe is?
If it's a set that I feel like a little bit nervous about or whatever, I'll plan not like plan A to B like the whole way through, but I'll have a general idea of what I want to play.
Yep.
But a lot of it is reading the crowd, and I feel like that's something that's always worked to my advantage, like when I'm DJing and stuff like that, because I know when people are having fun and when they're having a shit time.
Yeah,
it's like
that's
you can feel, like I literally feel when I have to change the song.
Yeah,
and like
100%.
whether it's 30 seconds in or like a minute and a bit, like I pick up on that straight away.
Yep. And I was listening to a podcast with Jack the Bear and T-Rec, and he was like, basically a DJ's job is to get bored before the crowd. Like if you can just be that slightly fucking ahead of the crowd and you get sick of it just before they realize they're tired of it, and then you're doing your job.
That's
you've got
facts.
to have a really, really short attention span and like almost ADD. Like I'm fucking bored. Let's play another track. Like,
but you can also feel it like when you're in the crowd, and I mean it might just be like fucking musicians will always over fucking analyze shit when we go to shows or gigs. Like if you're in the crowd, you can feel it and you kind of look around and you're like, fuck, this should have changed.
Yeah.
This should have changed.
Yeah, you feel it. Like I was talking to my other DJ mate like the other day, and we were just saying that it's a weird adrenaline rush that you can't explain, like when you're playing a song and you feel like everyone's like getting hyped up with you, and you know when you drop something and it's just like not quite there. And you do the quick like, I gotta like quickly tie my shoelace. Don't want to face them. Don't look at me.
No, you can feel it's like everything, the energy just syncs up. Everything's together.
Yeah, I can imagine, like, I've heard comedians, they're like, there's nothing like getting a laugh out of the audience. And it'd be the same for a DJ. Like, I did party DJing for 6 months, so I have, like, very little experience with that. But I can imagine, like...
It's enough.
Yeah. But I can imagine if you're playing in front of crowds that are there to, like, to have a fucking good time and shit, like, the drop that they all lose their shit to would be that moment. I can imagine you're like always searching for that moment.
And it's kind of like how I measure whether I feel like I had a good set or a bad set, like based on whether I feel like that energy stayed consistent from start to finish, rather than like people coming up to me being like, mad set, or...
Yep.
And how long do your sets normally go for?
In clubs, they're usually an hour.
Yep.
Like some little bars here and there, I'll play like 2 hours, maybe even 3.
See, that's a pretty long time for one person to keep the vibe going. Like, that seems like quite challenging to me. Like, I mean, I only did parties, so I would have to do it for 4 hours or whatever, but you'd have lulls intentionally so that people could relax and go get a drink and shit. But if you got to keep the energy going for an hour, 2 hours, like, that sounds really challenging.
I used to play at Southside Central. I'm not sure if you guys know the burger place.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, on Chapel Street.
Yeah.
And I used to play like 3-4 hours at a time.
Brutal.
And I was doing that like every weekend, and I feel like it helped me get like better at keeping that vibe going for that amount of time.
Yeah.
It's like a challenge, like how long can I keep going before I feel like, all right, let's start, checking on some mixtapes. Let's go to the bathroom.
So, can you share some advice of like how you got into like consistently getting shows and booking? Did you book your own gigs? Did you have an agent?
I was doing my own thing, and then last year, for all of last year, I was with Lucky Urban.
Yep.
And then I just felt like I was ready to do my own thing, go into music, start producing, and take it from there. And I felt like I had learnt enough at that point that I could take over. On my way here, I was listening to the podcast you guys did with Matt when he was talking about how people feel like they need that validation and stuff like that, like in the industry to get signed to a label. And for me, like that was a goal for so long. And I felt like, people aren't going to take me seriously unless I'm like a part of an agency or I have a manager and stuff like that. But I do everything by myself, like up until this point now. And I have no regrets.
Like, how would you approach that? Like, what would, even step by step of like, what was the first thing you would do, like right back at the start when you start to book your own gigs?
Say if someone's listening and they're just about to get in it, or they've kind of got that feeling. They're like, fuck, I want to do this, but I don't know how. They're like, I want to try to get into this field, but how the fuck do you do it?
I guess I Google things a lot.
That's like, the best advice.
Like I Google weird things like how does one like I don't know like if I'm doing like how does one use a washing machine or like the dishwasher. I have no idea how to use a dishwasher. I'm just like.
But even on that, the ability to Google and find out a fucking answer to a question, it baffles me how many people don't do it.
Yeah.
Like, hey, they'll even send message and call and be like, it's like, dude, type this into Google.
Yes.
Like,
just read
learn
a couple
how to use
of articles
Google.
and you'll get a general idea of like what's supposed to be going on, and then just like YOLO. If like a lot of the
Chalk it up
times,
to a loss.
some messages I'll read back and I'm like, not sure I said any of that, but it's a learning curve. Like you just gotta. It's one of those things where you learn by doing it. The experience
100%.
of like.
Yep.
We really are in like the best time, and you guys are talking about like always searching for that something new that gives you inspiration and stuff. Like this is the coolest time because there's so many different avenues of shit that you can go down and like try and get involved in and dip your feet in the water and see if it's something that you're interested. If you don't like it, that's okay. There's like heaps of different fields of shit that you could go down.
There's so many ways to like build up a following as well, and like hit your audience. Like YouTube as well for DJs is kind of popping off when it comes to like making compilation videos of like mixes or your remixes and stuff like that. Type beats, like
type
all
beats
of
is huge.
like YouTube's like
even leasing beats. We talk about this with rappers. There's rappers that come through and they're like, oh man, I'm this rapper, blah blah blah, but I don't have any beats. Like it's like, have you met the internet? There is fucking, it's literally like never before when we were making fucking tunes, like the idea of leasing a beat or buying a beat from someone off the internet was not around.
No,
like
you had to do it yourself.
You either got linked in through a fucking label to one of their producers and he'd send you their beat catalog and it would cost you a fucking mint, or you made it your fucking self. You couldn't, like, leasing beats. Are you joking me? And then people are like, I don't have beats. You haven't learned to fucking look.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm low-key a little bit rookie when it comes to that stuff, like, because I'm just getting into it. I'm learning about, like, beat stars and, like, how people, like, get into monetizing their own beats. But
It's a whole nother world. That just didn't exist, like, fucking 6 years ago.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But even, like, you could go so niche, like, you could say like, hey, I want to start producing beats. And even that means like there's a fucking world of different types of music that you go down. Like if something doesn't quite, if you feel like, oh, I'm going to try and do like really trappy sort of hip hop stuff. And then you try it and you're like, actually, it doesn't really feel like me or something like that.
Yep.
That's okay. You can just go to like a different style and see what fucking works and what people respond to. Like there's such a big fucking
and even
vast...
like sound design for fucking movies and TV shit. Like you can link up with people making short films and see if just those weird soundscapes of what you like. Like you can just try shit. But even I want to come back to what you mentioned before of like looking to be on a label and finding a manager, and you get this sense of cool, fuck, then I've hit this spot. Because I know and I'm sure a lot of other artists out there in the very start of your journey, they're these kind of fucking check boxes that you think, cool, once I hit that, fuck, I'm going to feel like I belong. Or, you have this sense of imposter syndrome is going to be gone. And it just doesn't work that way. Like even we've spoken with Tones, with Jack the Bear, and he comes to me, there's days when he's like, man, I don't know why anyone wants me to fucking master their shit. Like he gets this imposter syndrome. And I look at him, I'm like, dude, you're a fucking monster in the industry. Like, and you get this shit. So it's something that's always there. But I know like for me, there is this, all right, fuck, once you have a manager of that label, then you'll feel like you belong, or then it'll feel real, and it's something that I think all artists or musicians definitely struggle with. So even just, being aware of it, I think helps. Because if we're aware of stuff mentally, then we can not let it get us down as much. We can kind of, all right.
Or it can give you like an avenue to go down to try and fix it. Like if you have the vision of where you want to be, without that, you're kind of just blindly guessing.
But I think that initially for me was that vision was uneducated.
Yeah.
So for me it was cool. I want to be on a major or whatever it is and have a manager. I didn't know how the fucking industry works.
That doesn't give you a clear path.
Yes.
There's
correct.
no clear path with I want to be on a label. It's like there's no step to step how to get on a label. Like no one gives you that. Even the labels couldn't give you that.
For sure. And when I left, like I felt really like shit about myself as a DJ, and I was like, okay, what am I gonna do now? And I kind of felt like it might have been the end of the road, and I was like, you know, I had to sit down and be like, what's important to me? Like, how do I want to convey like all of these different things that I want to do to the people around me without that type of backing, you know what I mean? Or having someone else, like, you know, because I hate talking about myself, like, in a weird way. Like, this was out of my comfort zone for me.
Yeah.
I just thought, YOLO, let's do it. You know
Nice.
I mean?
Well, thank you for coming down.
Yeah.
Thank you. And like you said, it's just about identifying where the weaknesses are and like working over that over time. It's not like something you can just go like, okay, I'm going to do this and like work on being this type of person. And it's just going to happen like that. It's just over time you have setbacks, you have whatever. But
And I think people kind of go, if I do this, this will be the result. And it's just not the way. Like there's no set path that you can actually take. You can't
Life's not
say,
linear.
if I play this gig with this band, that will lead me to get this other gig. It's like, no, that is not the clear path. That's just not how it happens.
And like, because I remember even when I was younger, you look at support bands, like, because I used to go to heaps of gigs. So you go to like Festival Hall, and you remember thinking like at the support bands, like, fuck, these guys are supporting the band that I'm here to see. Like, they must be about to be, they're like living the dream, like, fuck, one day I'm going to be that.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you fucking support these bands, and you're like, no, like, there's times you don't even fucking say hi to the headliner, they just walk, and you're just like, it's a complete kind of mismatch between what this narrative we build in our head
100%.
and what actually happens.
I think everyone's just like hanging out backstage. One of these ones. Not really.
What sort of music do you like, man?
But it's like, it's something, and like mental health in the industry is obviously a big thing that we try to talk and address about. But I think a lot of it comes back to this imposter syndrome, and I think like the lack of knowledge early on in terms of how to navigate the industry just leads to the I guess expectations we put in our own head that aren't really there. Like the expectations of, fuck, a major's going to open all these doors. It's like, now that I've gone through this system and fucking seen, it's like, I look at majors as like, fuck, man, like, they just take advantage of it. Like, they have to use you as a fucking commodity. They have to make
100%.
money off you. So I think for me, it's been coming back to, cool, what makes me happy? Like, what do I want to be doing? And all the other shit, all the other byproducts and symptoms of fucking, whether it's, you know, support from a major or whatever it is, they're just fucking symptoms from me being happy. And I think once fucking, you know, artists come back to that, and, you know, sometimes it's fucking swallowing the pride and being like, fuck, maybe I do need to just get a part-time job, like working 2 or 3 days a week to make things to take some of the financial pressure.
Goals,
Like I think there's something about artists early on. They want to flex in front of their friends just to say, cool, I've got this manager. Or like they think that this is going to convey that they're actually doing it when realistically they're doing it anyway. They're going on that journey. They're currently doing and living it, but they just don't feel like they belong. And I think that leads to a lot of the insecurities and the imposter syndrome. And then, fuck, do I really belong in this room? And, you know, what value can I add to this? Which is, like, I know for me early on, that was something that I like, and still there's days when I'm like, fuck, why is this person fucking want my advice?
I think it's when you got to be like honest with yourself, like what's important to you. You know what I mean? Like, is having a manager or saying that you have like all of these different things, like really what's important at the end of the day? Or is it about giving back to your craft and like investing in your own creativity and spreading that and all everything that comes along with that?
Yeah.
We always say, like, when you're happy, the art, it gets better.
It's better.
Like, because you are you know, you're content with yourself. You're not searching. You're just like going with the flow and feeling what feels right. And when you help other people, whether that's being a DJ in front of a crowd, because that helps people because they get good vibes, they feel the energy in the crowd, that is giving back, right? And that makes you feel good. So you're going to produce as a better result as a result of that, because when you're feeling good, when they're feeling good, it just gives you this positive feedback loop, and you just go with it.
Yeah, like I have fun when I see everyone else having fun.
100%. And like, I think that when you get stuck thinking, are people going to like this, or is this the right choice for me to make? Is that like questioning yourself and always just getting stuck in that? That just leads to you staying there and staying in those thoughts and getting stuck with that. It's like action. Action will lead to more action.
Yeah.
Being willing to find out how that changes, like what you need to do in order to like level up on yourself, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah, leveling up. It's a good way to put it because that's what it is. You're learning as you go, and you're finding what makes you happy, what you're good at, and what you need to work towards.
Yep. And the other thing's like what makes us happy can change, and that's totally fine. Like to have different, you know, ideals and goals as we did 5, 8 years ago is totally fine. And I think sometimes it's easy to get stuck and think that, fuck, I've committed to this and this is this is all I am.
Yeah.
Like, this is my identity now that we've built. But it's like, it's okay for that to change and you have different
It's supposed to change,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
100%.
Like life changes, you move your way through it and then all of these different things like add up over time.
Yeah.
And you change what's important to you.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a good example of that. Who's the guy that's saying, I didn't mean to cut Gautier. He dropped that track.
So how did that track go again?
Didn't mean to cut. He dropped that track and then he's like, oh, I'm super famous. This isn't what I want. So now he just plays in like a low-key like garage band with his mates that he was playing with while he was still doing Gautier stuff. But
We should do that again, but with the
But yeah,
Isn't he from around here? Did you go to school with him?
He was my high school captain, but not while I was there. He's before my time. But he
Is he from Are you from
yeah,
Melbourne?
yeah. He went
Interesting.
to
Did not
Parade
know
Like
that.
here, like right around the area somewhere.
Yeah, Bundoora, I think.
Yeah.
Oh.
Or something like that. But yeah, he got famous off that track and then he's like, yeah, this is not for me. I'm going to go back to being in a
didn't
blues
even
band.
like an aria and stuff, like a whole bunch
Yeah,
of...
he won heaps of
Oh
shit.
yeah, he cleaned up
It's
in
like,
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And so
Wow.
that's okay. Like he's obviously quite happy with his decision. I
Yeah.
don't know, but I'm guessing he's otherwise he would have gone back to it.
Correct. I think it's
Yeah.
funny when we reach these milestones we put in our head, like, you know, supporting these big bands. Once you get there, like, I know for me, not all of them, but fuck, like 98% of the time. Actually, no, that's like all of them, 100% of the time. When I get there, it's like, cool, what's next? It's like you don't fucking get there and you're like, whoa, I've finished this magical race called life and I'm fucking happy and I'm content and everything's fucking perfect.
Yeah.
Like you get there and you're just like, all right, well, I'm going to have to do
Well,
something
I'll
tomorrow.
as well.
Yeah, like tomorrow's going to come and I'm going to need to do
Yeah.
something fucking else.
Yeah.
I feel you.
It's weird though, the creative mind and how we chase this fucking magical like illusion.
Going back to what you said before, like as a female DJ, at the start, I felt like there was a lot of pressure to dress a certain way and like act a certain way when it came to DJing. And it kept me in that spot for a long time where I was just in my own head, like, oh, like, why don't I do this or this or this or this to be like, you know, and to please everyone else except me. I wasn't living for myself
Right.
Yeah.
within my career. And then once I just went, you know, that doesn't actually really make me happy at all. And it makes me a lot happy to wear sneakers and do whatever the fuck I want to do.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That's when I was able to like really level up in my career. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's what the change was.
And did you
Cool.
notice other people responding like apart from
yeah,
yourself?
people would come up to me and be like, you look so much happier now. You
Awesome.
look more yourself, like you're comfortable. And I'm, yeah, no shit.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Awesome.
Of course it does.
Because people
yeah.
can tell like,
I was listening to the wrong people. Like,
okay, see, that's another thing that we do mention a bit. It's like, you know, the herd that you surround yourself by. And like, especially in the music industry, especially the fucking urban and hip hop scenes, there's just a lot of fucking sharks out there. Like there's a lot of people, unfortunately, out there that not only are happy, but are looking to take advantage of up and coming artists. They see them as fucking either a source of income and they haven't learnt any better than they shouldn't pay this fucking dude, or that, you know, yeah, cool, how about you just we'll pay you in exposure and you make us fucking money. But yeah, and even getting back, like people can tell when you're truly, genuinely being you. And people gravitate towards that. They're like, fuck, who is she? She's fucking clearly having fun. Like, I'm now enjoying it because she's fucking throwing down and having fun.
And I was really naive in that sense, like at the start of my career, where I just thought like everyone wanted to help me, and like some of the things they were telling me were like in my best interest, but then it didn't really work out that way. And I just started telling myself, like, not in a cocky way or anything like that, but just like, don't listen to anyone who hasn't been in your position before. Like,
Totally.
Yeah.
don't take advice from someone who hasn't had to make those types of decisions, or someone who doesn't know like what's important to you and everything that you've been through and all of these things, you know what I mean? Like,
That's
It's
really
super good
good. Did
advice,
you
yeah.
reach out to anyone? Did you find like a mentor or someone like that? Or who?
there's people that have like definitely helped me along the way. Like off the top of my head, Slick P, who's another DJ. He's also a producer. He runs Yo-Yo,
Yep.
which is like a hip hop night, as well as the Operatives, and does a lot of that type of stuff. And he's always like helped me along the way and been like, no, dude, you need to do this. Like, no,
Yeah,
like
sweet.
told me when I'm doing the right thing, when I'm not.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Did you reach out to that, or did that kind of happen organically?
Yeah, I was really lucky. Pretty much one of my first sets was, I started out as a promoter, like at Yo-Yo, because I wanted to get in like that. So I was like, cool, let's meet everyone.
There's a
slide
tip.
in.
There's
I'm
the
a
hot tip for
DJ.
everyone at home.
Y'all need a party DJ. Yeah, I do it, you know what I mean? And then, yeah, one day, like, someone pulled out and they're like, hey, do you want to just come and do this set? I hadn't even played on CDJs before. And I was like, yeah, let's do it.
Yes.
Throw yourself in the deep end.
Hell
And
yes.
yeah, that's how I met Slick P. And then we kind of like, you know, got a lot closer, and he started like bringing me in on all the secrets of the industry, because they work with a lot of artists as well. And a lot of the things that he told me was, a really important thing that he told me was be easy to work with.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like that's helped me a lot lately, is just being easy to work with, being really like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Smooth, yes, I can do this, no complications, and just trying to make whatever deadline I can, no excuses.
Yep.
Yeah, because there's this idea of when you when you help someone else be happy, or you help someone achieve their goals, you're also achieving yours. And if you always put yourself first, then you're not really trying to help other people. You're only trying to help yourself, which in turn people will see that and be like, they're not that easy to work with because they've got all these restrictions or requirements or something like that. It's like, if your goal is to advance and, you know, try and meet as many people as you can,
Yeah,
get
if you want it
further,
bad enough, you should
need to
like
help
just
other
be
people.
willing to give.
Yeah,
Like,
Because it all comes back though. It's like, you know, you reap what you sow in this life. If you give and put out good energy and do good shit, like, guess what, man? You, like, in the short term, in the minority, you might have some negative shit, or you might give to the wrong person. But on the big scale, in the big scheme of things, you end up surrounding by good people who also want to give, who want to help, and that good shit comes back. Like,
and that's probably
just
how a lot
does.
of people see you guys, you know what I mean? Like the studio here, and like good energy. We've all come into contact and we have the same goals, and you know what I mean? Like that type of thing. Clap
yeah.
for yourselves.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Appreciate
time.
that. I think for us, it's just about like, we've been through it. So it's like, why wouldn't we share the information of
Yeah,
stuff
like,
that we've
I know what
made
it's
mistakes?
like to be on the other end of it when people are being a dick or hiding shit, and you just like I know how that made me feel, and it's like, why would anyone intentionally make someone feel like that?
Yeah. It's not the message that we want to convey, I don't think.
But then, like, it's even, because it comes back, because even like bands recording here, like, I don't think we've charged for pre-production. And even now, we might just not. We might just be the studio that never charges for pre-production. Because as we were saying to the band yesterday, it's like, fuck, man, if coming in for a half day or a day before you spend all this money to record, if that tightens up the song, then you're going to get a fucking better product. You're going to be super happy with it. The resume of the studio is going to, it's like, why wouldn't you do that? Like, that makes sense.
Find a
100%.
win-win scenario.
Yeah.
Especially when it's within arm's reach, like these people that want to work with you guys and stuff like that. It's just like we can all just help each other.
Yeah, don't make it harder.
Yeah.
Like, you're only going to strain that relationship.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, 100%. Nice. Well, I think this has been a pretty good chat so far. Is there anything you want to plug or hype up? What do you got coming up?
I'm working on my first event.
Nice.
Yeah, I watched this interview, can't remember who it was with, but they were like, the best DJs throw their own parties. And that's been in like
Love
the
it.
back of my head for
Sick.
the last year, and I'm
Awesome.
finally doing it. That'll be like start of April at Section 8.
Sick.
And
Sweet.
yeah, hopefully by the time like this is all done. It'll be announced. But yeah,
Yeah,
in the
nice.
next
Awesome.
coming
So
weeks.
no
I'm just-
names to announce just yet.
Oh, I can like say the name. It's gonna be called Bodega, and it's just gonna be like it's block party vibes, and yeah, the
Yeah,
music's
Section
gonna be
8's a
lit.
good venue for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for both. Dope. Nice. Well, you heard it here first. Excellent. Nice. Well, thank you very much for joining us. It was
Thank
an
you for having
absolute
me.
pleasure to see you through here again. And I'm sure we'll catch you around here shortly.
For sure.
Awesome.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next time.
Peace.